I want to talk about racial discrimination and critical race theory. I'm going to be using all the terms and definitions from Ibram Kendi's work in talking about racial discrimination. So I think the most important thing to talk about is what is the definition of racism. The traditional definition of racism has been that you think other people are inferior or superior based on their race. They think it's a biological reality, right? That's the old version. In today's society, racism does not mean that at all. So just throw that out of your head. It has absolutely nothing to do that. What racism has to do in today's society and in critical race theory, it has to do everything with wealth inequality or power inequality, right? But most of the time it's wealth inequality. So, for example, you can see here that Ibram Kendi has defined racism as a collection of policies that lead to racial inequity, right? So, for example, you can see here that Asians have a way higher average income than blacks. And so it is racist to sustain that wealth gap, in his opinion. He thinks that a anti-racist approach to this would be to tax Asians at a way higher tax rate, like maybe 40%, and make blacks pay almost no income tax at all, right? Because taxing them at different amounts is going to reduce that inequity, right? So that is the new definition of racism. It's about wealth inequality and not about your biological faculties and how you might think that they're superior or inferior. Another example Ibram Kendi likes to use is voter ID laws. So you guys got to remember, your intentions do not matter at all when it comes to racism. All that matters is the outcome of your policy or decisions. So, for example, it doesn't matter if you genuinely want more secure election systems through voter ID rules. All that matters is that when you implement them, most black people don't have IDs and they'll be excluded from the election system. So your policy to do voter ID laws is racist because the outcome disproportionately affects black people. So another definition here, racist, right? So what is a racist then, if this is our new working definition? A racist is someone who supports their policies through either actions or inactions. So if you're not working to change policies that sustain that wealth gap, you're a racist. Or if you are working to support those policies that maintain wealth inequality, you're a racist in his opinion, right? So what is an anti-racist then? An anti-racist is a person who is, going out of their way through their actions to tear down the policies that sustain or produce wealth inequality, right? You can see here that, again, a racist policy is any measure that produces or sustains racial inequality. And anti-racist is just the opposite of that, right? So in Ibram Kendi's definition of racism and critical race theory, your intentions do not matter at all, right? It absolutely does not matter. The only thing that matters to him is the outcome of your actions or inaction, right? So this is why he doesn't like capitalism, and he thinks that anyone that supports capitalism is racist, is that capitalism allows owners to have full control over their business and reap all the profits, and this system allows owners to get extremely rich, right? And this creates, as a mechanic to capitalism, creates wealth inequality, which he sees as inherently racist. So he goes about talking about how racist powers have actually hijacked the term racial discrimination. Because like we were talking about, he believes in racial discrimination. Racial discrimination is the best way to reduce wealth inequality, right? So, for example, like if you're a white Ukrainian that just moved here last year, it doesn't matter that you have no history here in the United States, that you have nothing to do with slavery or racism that is here in this country. All that matters is that you're white and you're part of a white group of people that has more wealth than the black group of people. So even though you're Ukrainian white and you just got here and you have nothing to do with this country's history, you should be forced to pay extremely high taxes just because you're white. So that is racial discrimination, where you just generalize everyone based on their race or treat them the same solely based on their race, right? So, and you can see here how he emphasizes that, how he actually says that racists have hijacked the term racial discrimination. And he thinks that they've hijacked it by defining racial discrimination as inherently racist, which he doesn't believe. He supports racial discrimination as long as it reduces wealth inequality between two groups, right? So that Ukrainian person that you're taxing, that is anti-racist to racially discriminate against them based on race as long as it reduces wealth inequality, right?